Hello, and welcome to the About Healing podcast, a show created for those on or awakening into their spiritual journeys, and who are ready, wanting, and learning how to heal themselves. I am your host, About Healing medium and certified spiritual healer, Sheree Buckman. It is my purpose to guide others to the path of self-healing and to inspire those on their spiritual journeys in finding their truths. Join me as I share my experience and unfiltered perspective in healing, as well as the incredible wisdom of the loving energy that guides us. Let's begin. Hello again, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of About Healing podcast. Hello, Miss Copper.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening to anybody else listening. But for us, it is morning. It is. This is when we bring the most energy before we're burnt out by the end of the day.
This is where you bring the most energy before you burn out. Me, I'm a sloth. Yeah.
Hey, we just had this conversation. You're getting better with your mornings.
I'm learning to become friends with morning time. So it's a process.
By sleeping like a normal human being?
I'm trying.
Actually, I don't know what normal is.
Right?
Everybody has
That's
their own sleep
true.
schedules and purposes. But anyway, we were just on this topic. So whether you're a morning person or a night owl, and when you're listening to this, we're saying hello and good day in a very long, drawn-out conversation. Again, if you haven't noticed, as we begin these episodes, I always start out with these really awkward and very simple greetings. It is a way for me to get going. It's like charging up this energy of wanting to talk and getting out my awkwardness beforehand. I am sorry, and you're welcome at the same time. So now, if only you heard the unedited portions of me trying to get my stuff together. Poor Copper.
It'll never see the light of day.
Again, that is a gift to you that you don't hear that. And why I bring this up again, further, I don't know. But to actually get into it, I do wanted to just give the update and tell you thank you and what a great response we have been getting for the online shop that I had created on abouthealingmedium.com. Here again is where my session gift certificates are available for purchase, which I usually always have them on sale or a deal. And I also have the daily journal still available. So if you're interested, just climb over to my website and take a look. I also wanted to remind everybody about Freebie Fridays. This is actually a Freebie Friday week. It is the end of the month. So the first Friday of February is this week. So it is just a reminder that if you're interested in winning a free gift from me that includes free shipping directly to your home, go ahead and get on our social media. The social media is the only place to earn these. You'll go on there and you'll find the entry post for this week, always posted on the Monday of Freebie Friday. Just read the instructions on how to claim your entry to win. And so today we are actually going to get into this topic. The topic I have at hand here. And this is a really big topic. For me, it is to talk about and to explain. I want to talk about awakenings or the awakening and what that means. The awakening I am referring to is a shift within our lifetime, awakening out of the daily repetitive grind and discovering that there is so much more to life. It is more than going to school, picking out schools, whether it's college and going on and so forth. It is more than just picking a career. What career am I going to choose and sticking with that career? And the more than finding a mate and procreating, and then the eat, work, sleep, repeat patterns of life. It is about uncovering the deeper meanings in life, including the purpose and deeper understandings of even the repetitive patterns. While this may sound like a simple or maybe even an expected phase in someone's life, I truly do not feel everyone is meant to awaken within their lifetime. Awakening is a process that is ignited by free will. and I truly believe this, the more people within our society or world awakening into their own power, the ones that are choosing not to live small anymore or to be told what to believe or do with their lives, it creates an energetic surge that plants more seeds in others to do the same. I mean, this is something that is really big. To sit here and talk about this awakening, this can go so deep, and I have so much to say about this. But I am trying to condense it into at least enough to get us started to understand it. So in 2020, when we all went in lockdown, this was a huge year for many to experience the awakening. And ever since then, too. Because we were confined and isolated, it gave us time to really think about our lives and how we live it. And plus, having our sense of freedom taken from us, topped with that extra thick layer of fear, this was a combination causing an explosive reaction to seeing the bigger picture. Quote unquote, the bigger picture. We begin to question it more, or things started happening that were not within our control, where it forced us to really start looking at these things and asking the deeper questions, not just about ourselves, but about life in general. So what exactly is an awakening? Well, I want to go deeper, and I want to explain this, at least for my understanding of what this is. I believe an awakening to be a change within our eternal DNA. Yes, I said eternal DNA. It is about switching gears from running or living on autopilot to taking control of your life and to begin questioning everything you know or have been taught. So this is huge. We begin questioning the expectations that have been put on ourselves. Maybe not just personally, but also as a whole, as a person, as a society, as a human being, about living our life and the expectations of that, of how we're supposed to or not supposed to act or be, of how we walk, talk, and who we are. Because having so many expectations on us where we have to be careful about how we express ourselves, or we can't talk a certain way, or we can't bring up certain topics, or we cannot wear certain clothes because it may offend others, or because it is deemed that is not the way it is. And if we've questioned it before, it was always told to us that was always the answer. It's just the way it is. This is that time frame where we start really breaking those barriers down and ask, but why? Why is it that way? And why can't we change that? We start questioning the expectations of gender roles, about the expectations of women acting like a lady, and for men to be a man. And that's really confining when maybe you feel and you are drawn to be or act or say things that are not quote unquote appropriate for your gender. Or maybe it's expectations of parenting, like the standards of the woman stays home with the kids and the man works. Well, a lot of that's changing. And why does it have to be that way if the man wants to stay home, or two working parents? And this has been changing over a large period of time, but it is questioning within your own life of what is expected. And in your relationships too. There's expectations in relationships, and you may have had to change certain things or minimize things to make sure that it works. Or questioning religious beliefs of how you've brought up and what you've been told and how you feel a disconnection with it or pieces of it, or the expectations within your family. Maybe it's how you were raised, and whether there's expectations for a certain career line because that's how it's done in your family, or to go to college, but yet that is not where you want to go. Or the expectations of starting a family, of finding the mate and, again, procreating, or it has to be this type of person, or it has to be this type of religion, or it has to match the certain expectation of what is expected within your family, because that, again, is how it has been done. But you want and are drawn to something different, and there's this disconnection where you feel the anxiety and this anxiety building up, and so much anxiety. Anxiety is about something not connecting in your life. It means you are living one way and you're not speaking your truth, or you're not living your truth, and you're allowing others to dictate it. This is how I believe anxiety to be. This is how I know anxiety to be, because I used to have it. And the more I took control of my life, the less and less and less I had. And when I start feeling it, it's telling me that I need to go in and I need to question something and I need to take control back again. But the awakening is also about shifting your own perspectives. It's about going in and seeing your past struggles and maybe seeing those as lessons in growth instead of pain and torture. It is about shifting and releasing judgments of others and yourself to understand that there is more happening beneath the surface of everyone, because we are all human and everybody struggles and expresses things in different ways. It is about letting go of the reactions of others and not letting it affect you, knowing that people are in their own pain and trauma, because we are all connected, and it's coming to that understanding that we are all connected, that people are not separate from one another, that one family and another family are not connected in any way, from your neighbors, from your coworkers, from strangers on the street, because we are not separate. Because underneath our human differences between race, gender, beliefs, ego, etc., 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 we are exactly the same. We are light. We are souls. We have pain. We have love. And all the other emotions out there, we all feel in some form or another, or at one point or another. And within this awakening, in the deepest parts of it, it's not only understanding these things and questioning life and questioning everything you've been taught, but it is about discovering how you have minimized yourself or adjusted for the sake and comfort of others, whether in a relationship or within your family or within society. It is now choosing to put your truest self forward, discovering who that is and not letting anyone or anything else define you. As beautiful as an awakening sounds, it is actually a very scary and difficult process, because it stirs up old traumas and wounds, and it causes you to deal with these suppressed emotions, uncovering the deepest truths about yourself, both positive and negative, and it will trigger you to start healing. And if left untouched, this can cause us severe emotional distress, even flaring physical ailments and illness. However, it is empowering. It is like clearing the junk drawer, so to speak. It's the things you carry that have no purpose for your highest good and that weigh you down and dims your light. And I'm not calling your trauma junk, but the unprocessed parts do become that, where we have to take out the meaning behind it and let the heaviness and the bigger pieces go. There are layers in an awakening, just like in our healing and everything else, because this is a really, really long process. And it can take years or even an entire lifetime to unfold. And what I have discussed and brought up right here is only but an introduction to the process, and only explains the surface details, or what I call the Cliff Notes version of what this is. Now, I want to bring up this because maybe some of you have heard a spiritual awakening, and I just talked about an awakening. Now, I actually believe and see these to be different. While some awaken to better understand themselves and the world with an unfiltered view, others will go through the same process but adding yet another layer to an already overwhelming process, because this other layer in a spiritual awakening is, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't have words. It is heavy. It is beautiful. But holy moly, the beginning of it makes you question your own sanity. Because in that piece, you are adding the connection to the soul and to the universe and tapping into your truest capabilities, or what others call abilities. I just don't like to use that word. That's a conversation for a whole other episode. But this is what it does, is that all of this awakens, and then it kickstarts an even more staggering experience to understand and uncover what it all means. Several years ago, I began my awakening. I had absolutely no idea what was going on or what was happening to me. And I believe I began to share this story a little bit in the episode about me and who I am and my journey. But I want to go a little bit deeper here. When mine began, it was after my daughter was born, my second child. And so I was so overwhelmed in an experience that I have a hard time explaining or describing. It was just a whirlwind of heaviness, of stress, of anxiety, depression. It was a spin of everything, to the point where I questioned my own sanity, and I thought that maybe I had postpartum or something else was happening, which actually pushed me. It was so overwhelming from a person who I've always been really good at balancing my own emotions and working through things. Like I can take on a lot of other people's stuff and still be okay. But I wasn't okay. I was so far from, to a point where even my husband, I could see the worry and fear in his eyes from what I was going through. There was just so much that I actually went and saw a therapist just to begin to understand. And while it did help, it absolutely did help, because it allowed me to get into a space and start organizing at least some of my thoughts and some of my feelings. When I look back now at some of the conversations and they stand out like these big pings, it's like ping. I can look back and see these big pieces where I was starting to understand what was going on, because things came up. And I remember in one of my sessions, it was after talking about my traumas and everything, and it came up over a situation I was going in, and I don't know how did this conversation go? I just know I brought up something. She's like, well, this person might be acting this way because of this. And I just told her, I'm like, no, I know it's not. I know it's because of this. It's simplified because it's very hidden meaning of why someone was acting that way. And I remember her looking at me like completely shocked, like, how do you know that? Like, she believed me. I don't even know how she believed, but I guess how I said it and what I said was such an intense explanation or energy coming out of it that she fully believed me in that moment, saying, well, how do you know? I was like, I just know. And I can go back now and see it as it was like the intense empath in me that can read underneath what people say into what they mean. And I mean, I even remember her like, man, you would be a really good saleswoman. I think I totally did. I laughed at her when she said that, because I've had sales jobs when I was younger, and it was the only job I ever had that I was fired from. My boss at the time, who took me aside, and I can tell she was visibly nervous to tell me this, like, she's like, I have to let you know. And this is why, quote, because you're too nice. I can't push people into buying ridiculous, honestly, useless things when people are stressed out. I'm just not that person. That's not what I use my my empath abilities for. That wound up being a longer piece of the story than I intended it to be. So I apologize there, but it was still fun and I wanted to share it. So anyway, after that point, it just so much started happening, and things that didn't make sense to me. So much did not make sense to me. I started questioning people. I started questioning the things that people would tell me, like, well, this is what you need to do. But why? But that doesn't feel right for me. And because I was already in such a raw place that I knew I had to be careful on how I treated myself and who I surrounded myself by and what I was doing. So I slowly, very slowly, started making choices for myself, the ones that felt more appropriate for me. Ones that before I probably would not have made for myself because I was such a people pleaser. I always made choices that made other people more comfortable rather than stirring pots or anything else. I minimized myself because I don't like confrontation at all. And sometimes to even voice what you want can cause a confrontation, especially when, and this happens during awakenings too, because you start standing up for yourself and you start getting pushback from other people around you, because people are so used to getting you in a certain way that when you start changing that, it creates kind of rifts or arguments or, but why? But why? And then people may call you selfish because you're starting to take care of yourself and you never did before, because it's such an extreme change. But this is another piece in here that you have to understand, that when you're going through this, that you're going to have to be patient not only with yourself, but the people around you. Because as you are changing and as your priorities keep changing and you're taking your power back from other people, not allowing other people to have a say in what you choose and how you live your life and be, that they too have to adjust to that. And it creates, and you have to let that sink in for them and to get used to the new way of things. And for those who are not with you or who do not support you, then they don't have your best interest at hand. As long as you are doing this process with love and kindness also to others, because remember, not only you are changing, but it changes the relationship and the dynamic of everyone involved in your life. And you need to have these conversations, and being open and kind and just explain, like, I don't know what is happening and I don't know why, but this is what I need. This is what I need. And those who love you and, again, have your best interest at hand are going to support you. How can I support you? And it's just having those open conversations. Like, I need this now, or I need this. And it is about learning boundaries, which is another piece. It's a huge piece, deep piece. It is about not letting other people, like when you make choices, not allowing their reactions to change your mind or redefine what you want. Because I've always done that. Because again, not only as an empath and not only as a people pleaser, I'm an empath, and I can always feel the disappointment or other emotions underneath it, and I don't like it. It's so yucky, and I just want everything to be even keel and happy and beautiful and glorious, that I'm like, okay, well, never mind. It's going to cause too much for you. I'll just deal with it. It's fine. But no, I've learned to stick to it. And I have taken all the discomfort away from everybody else, that when they start to feel uncomfortable, I need to let them feel that. Like, give it back. It is time to give it back. And this is how you begin that process for reclaiming your power, is that you are giving everybody's stuff back. They need to feel uncomfortable too, because they also need to learn how to deal with that. Just as you need to learn how to deal with managing your own stuff and putting yourself first.
Holy crap. I feel like you're just talking directly to me.
Maybe I am. No, I'm just kidding. Which is why I knew that this topic was huge, because I know that there's a lot of people currently going through this, and I've talked to them. I've been through this, and honestly, and everything that I'm talking about, this is just, again, the smallest piece of the whole package of what this journey and what this unfolding is. This is a piece. And honestly, this whole season is a piece of this whole package of what I'm talking about, of awakening, because there's so many levels within it. But we have to start with the basics. And it's interesting that we call that the basics. Boundaries are a basic, but that is such a big piece and topic and trigger for some people to create those boundaries and then to stick with them and to find that balance within it. Or to say that, or the basic again is being able to put yourself first and to put your own needs. Your needs are a priority, because if you aren't going to make a priority of your needs, nobody else is, because other people feel safe with you putting their needs first. You can edit this part if you want, because Mama Copper, who is always work mom, because you take care of other people's needs. But it's always making sure and having those boundaries to say, but sometimes I need to be mothered too. Yeah. I want to be taken care of. And that's okay. We're allowed to have those balances. That's the point. Is that, again, we've been taught throughout our life, or how we've just been and how we've survived our own childhoods or our own traumas, or how we've survived our own lives by minimizing ourselves and making other people comfortable. Because, again, those of us who have been through a lot of trauma in our childhood, that was our survival tactic. That was survival mode. But this is about turning off that autopilot to start living your life and to stop surviving and go into thriving. Because we are now in a safe place. Especially when you start to understand that you can take all of that power back that you've left, that you've let other people take from you. Because no matter if you are in a situation where you're not physically able to stop someone from doing something, whether you are at an age or physically just not capable, you still have the capability to take your power back. Because the more we hold anger and the more we hold resentment and the more that we hold on to those really heavy emotions from our ghost past, it gives it power still. And it gives power to the people or the situations that have taken it from us. So it is time to sever it, and it's time to pull it back and say, this is mine. And so forgiveness is key in there too. Oh, I feel like that's going to be a whole series of episodes and we have to get into that. We'll get there. But here we are. And as I wrap up this episode, whether you have gone through this process of awakening, or you're in the midst, or just beginning it, I want you to know that I am here to help you to understand that you are not crazy. because that's what it feels like. Everything changes, everything, and you're questioning everything, and it all happens at once, because it's like once you peek into that piece, like it explodes. Like you can't just ask the one question and open the top and then close it back up. I mean, it explodes and there is no lid anymore. It is out. You are a beautiful soul, awakening into its natural light and learning how to connect with life within this human experience and beyond. I feel and I know it is part of my purpose to help others through this journey, because this is the journey that brings us to healing. I have journeyed through the thick mud of self-defeating thoughts and behavior to come out and take claim to not only my life, but who I am on the deepest level, and still doing it. I am a bright soul that has chosen to lead and guide others by example, by doing it, by going through the awakening process to ignite the truest power within each of you, so that you can all continue in that same process of raising the vibration of our planet to make love the constant, to make that the constant and the most understood emotion known by man, to look at our world and to look at life in general to say this is not scary, and that there's more good and there's more love in this world than any other thing. We are laying the foundation work for the future generations while doing the work and learning our own lessons to evolve, thus inspiring others to do the same. If this topic and everything that I've talked about in this episode really speaks to you, and if you're kind of craving, and now it has brought up so many more questions that maybe you're going through it and you're trying to understand, and maybe I just hit the, oh my gosh, she's explaining exactly what's happening. I need to know what this is. And if you're interested in learning more and going deeper, I want you to email me and let me know about healingmedium@gmail.com. The reason why I'm asking for this is that I have been asked, and I feel guided to possibly start courses in guiding others in this process to understand their experience, this and going through this in such deep detail, every piece. So if the need is there, maybe I'll begin actually creating it and add it to my load of things, because I actually believe and I'm being led that this is important. And if it's not, and maybe the need is not big right now, then maybe it's just not the time. But I want to put this out there and just see if any of you would be interested in that or feel drawn to that in any way, shape, or form. So please email me and just let me know. I love to have been able to share this beginning piece of what an awakening is and that process. We have so much more to talk about when it comes to this. This, again, like I said, this is Cliff Notes. This is barely scratching the surface of what it truly entails. Because like I said, this is years or a lifetime to go through. It is not just an overnight thing. You awaken and you just know. Everything just comes to you and you're healed and all of that. No, this is where it all comes from. This is long and it gets heavy and it's hard. But it is also one of those things from experience that I can tell you, going through the deepest parts, that when you come out of those deepest parts, you feel lighter than you ever did before. And you feel more you than you've ever felt before. And things start to finally, maybe for the first time in your entire life, things make sense. Things make sense. And you start to understand yourself. When you can filter out maybe false beliefs or the things you've been told or the expectations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not going anywhere. We're going to keep continuing on some of these lessons throughout the season. Honestly, probably throughout the entire podcast. Throughout the life of this podcast, I will continue to talk about this. And that's it for today. So until next time, be kind to yourself. With so much love and gratitude, I want to thank you for listening to this week's episode. My hope today is that the message continues to guide you along your path to healing. To learn more about me and my purposeful work, visit my website at abouthealingmedium.com. You can also follow About Healing Medium on Facebook and Instagram, where you can find the episode's healing guidance, quotes, tips, insights, and chances to win free stuff. To ask a question or to share comments, email me at abouthealingpodcast@gmail.com or feel free to reach me on Facebook and Instagram at About Healing Medium. Until next time, be kind to yourself.